Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Wise. Today we are going to start a new series on Morra Gambit. Today's lecture is based on the basic concepts of Morra Gambit. We are going to see what is the nature of this gambit, and this game can be definitely used as a game study also. So it will benefit those who want to play the Morra Gambit and those who want to get the feel of a gambit play. For both it will be very useful. Let's get started with the game now. So let's start with the moves. It is in Sicilian defense, e4, c5 and white plays d4. Basically we know in Sicilian, white wants the control of center and black wants the open c5. So c takes d4, both get what they want, but here white doesn't want knight f3, knight d4, which happens to be the main line. He goes with c3. One of the major drawback of this move is that this gambit is not forced and it can often transpose into c3 Sicilian. That is why I covered some chapters of c3 Sicilian also. We will be covering both simultaneously, because here see black can play the move d5 and make it a c3 Sicilian, or he can play nf6, e5, which again goes to other line of c3 Sicilian. Apart from that, black has some other options as well, but our focus is mainly on the move dc3. Most weaker players tend to play dc3. Even stronger players want to challenge this opening. So they go with the move d takes c3, knight takes c3, and now let us understand what this position is all about. Black often goes nc6, and see what we want here. White wants to use this open and the semi-open files. Knight will occupy natural post on f3, bishop will go to c4, c1 bishop chooses between e3 and g5 in most cases. Sometimes when d6 is weak, bishop goes to f4. So white gets a very free game, and on the other hand, black is somewhat cramped. He is unable to free his pieces. This is the major nature of any gambit. The side who has accepted the gambit struggles a bit to free his pieces. But this gambit, do note that it's not a very tactical one. It's positional in nature. The reason being, after bishop c4, the bishop won't be that dangerous like it is in e4, e5 openings, because black often has the move e6, which he will play in most lines and slow down this bishop's attack from c4. But when e6, d6 is there, the point d6 becomes weak, and this is what our today's game is all about. So let's get into the game quickly. White goes nf3, black plays d6, bishop c4, all natural and easy moves. e6, he wants to play e6 so that there are no problems on the c4, f7 diagonal. nf6 is often met by e5 over there. So white just castles, knight f6, and here is an important stage for white. He needs to plan where to put his pieces. See, the instant bg5 move does nothing, just be7 castle. Black can gain tempo with h6. The bishop doesn't know yet where to be placed, g5, f4 or e3. What will white do with his rooks is a very important part of the plan in this opening. See, the f1 rook wants to go to d1, and the a rook will often occupy the c1 square. So for that the queen needs to vacate place, and we can see queen has no business on c2, nothing on b3 because just na5. So the queen sidesteps and comes to e2. Very useful square in this opening. b7, rook d1. So here the old main line is the move e5. We are not going to discuss that today. The e5 pawn makes the d5 square weak, and white gets very good play. The knight soon jumps to d5, often after bg5, trade on f6, and we see one of the piece will get the outpost on d5. The d5 square is outpost as well as a strong square. Square on an open file supported by pawn is called outpost. A square which cannot be attacked by any weak pawn is called a strong square. Yes, we will discuss the e5 line later in more detail. So black plays castle here, and it walks into e5. See, this is not a sort of trap that I am trying to show how fancy the lines are, but this is to just give you the feel. If black just does normal development, how things can be. So now see, knight has to move, d is not possible, ne5 piece is lost because d is and d8 hangs. So knight e8 only move, protecting d6. But believe me, after this the position is totally losing for black. White has a forced win. He takes d6. Now two lines. Main move is bd6. Black played bd6 in the game. Let's look at nd6. After nd6, just bishop f4, piling upon the knight, and the threat is bishop d6, ne4. The d6 knight would be lost. So black has to play e5. Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop e5, Same, if a6 to stop nb5, then comes bd6, bd6 and e4. The piece is lost. In all variations, the piece is lost. You can check it for yourself. Let's go back to the game now. So black plays bd6 and now nb5. Black plays queen e7 and now bishop g5. Very useful move. First weakening the e6 square. This is a very important moment of the game. Because normally one would think that f6 will waste the move. But first f6 weakening e6, then the bishop retires back to e3. We will see the whole combination is based on this idea. So let's see f6, be3, and now black is in a desperate state. See what is happening. We are soon going to play nd6, bishop c5. He goes bb8. What would you do as white over here? White simply focuses on his development. He plays rook a1. Black pieces are really stuck. Rook c1 has another hidden point. If a6 now, then there is just see bishop c5. To queen c5 there will be b6 check when the queen would hang. So black is in a quite desperate state. He plays b6. We think he wants to play bb7. That is one part. Queen f7 by the way loses on the spot to bishop c5 and the exchange is simply lost. So black had to play b6 which stopped bc5 also, and the bishop can go to b7 and d7. The knight will soon require support. Just bb3, another good move, attacking c6 and gaining tempo also. If bd7 now, white again has a combination here. He can do bishop c5, pawn takes c5, and now comes rook d7. Typical tactics mostly see working just because black was forced to play f6. See, queen takes d7, queen is trapped otherwise, and now comes bishop e6 check. Queen is lost and white wins. So black played bb7 in the game, but you would see there is no respite in this line also. White has a nice finish, very similar to the analysis what we saw. Bishop c5 still, pawn takes c5, and see bishop e6 check. This time it's a bit better than direct rook d7. King h8 and rd7. See how brutal it is. The queen gets trapped and white is winning. Of course, one may say black's play was not best, but basically my idea was to show how the play evolves, and we will definitely look at better moves for black in the upcoming lessons. Do let me know how you found this lesson in the comments below. Thanks for your time.